Hello preppers, homesteaders, and preppersteaders. In this episode I'm going to go over first aid items for the homestead, individual first aid kits, and just what to have around the homestead. Because as a prepper homesteader, it's a good idea to have basic first aid kit items because, like I said, you're going to be using chainsaws, you got a tractor, and for us, our ambulance is air taxi. It's a helicopter. It's a medevac. There is no close help really. Let's go over at least the basics of what you should have. Things too is don't forget to have large quantities of basic items, such as, hydrogen peroxide, thermometer, these are the COVID era thermometers. And then we even have sterile water for irrigation and flushing. And then we've got, isopropyl alcohol, just the basics here. We also have a bigger, I would call it a boo-boo kit in one of our drawers in the bathroom. So we've got, ace bandage, all kinds of, Band-Aids, alcohol swabs, just hydrocortisone, just all kinds of anti-itch cream, triple antibiotic plus, just all kinds of stuff, Band-Aids. And like I said, we did find out that Jenny is allergic to latex, so a lot of these are going to be for me, but I'm the one who tends to cut myself the most. These are kind of just quick, easy get-to items that we have in the homestead that are in a very easy to get to spot. Okay, here we go. This is all my first aid and individual first aid kits, and I would say boo-boo kits. I have the Adventure Medical kits. I have the 0.5 and the 0.7. These ones I always throw in. My 0.5 I throw in like a fanny pack when I go for a day hike. The 0.7 has a little bit more items. As I was stating, I really like the 0.5, and then, and this is the 0.7. As you can see, the size difference. I'll go over this one though just to kind of show you. They come with a really nice bag. And then inside of it is just essentially a strong Ziploc bag. And you can kind of see the contents in there. So you get some, athletic tape, some bandages, safety pins, some medication, and this bag is waterproof. So and then this bag is just a little bit more durable. And then this pack is this one even says 1 to 2 people, and the other one is designed for 1 person. But it just kind of shows you, up to 4 days. Ultralight, this one's got a little bit bigger of a pouch, a little easier to get in and out of. But I really like this kit because you get a lot of useful stuff. You get the tape. This one you get duct tape in here. You get some more bandages, ace bandage. You get one of those really nice metal tweezers. And this is probably my preferred kit when we go hiking. Just wanted to give a quick little plug here. Say you want to build one of these kits like this, Adventure, medical kits 0.7 or 0.5, and you want to save a little bit of money and you have a lot of the supplies ready in your medicine cabinet. What you could do also is just get your components like this and then put them in a Ziploc bag, because obviously, Ziploc bags are waterproof. And then, remember I did a video review on the Arkansas product, Ultralight sacks? They sell little bags very similar. And you could do your little boo-boo kit in one of these, which I'm going to do with this one. And, and I would just put a little tag on here, which would be really easy to do. Easiest way to add a tag to this would be get some of these little Velcro medical patches. But they come with the hook and loop. And then take your zipper pull. So now you've got a big floppy red X on there, and then this you could just use it as a zipper pull on there. So this is just a good way to make an ultralight little first aid kit. But beyond those would be considered the boo-boo kits, kind of just like this one, where you got some Band-Aids, just some basic things. All of these are more advanced. I would call a trauma, like a light trauma kit. These all include tourniquets and items to stop the bleeding. So we'll go over into that right now. One thing that you might want to have too in your first aid preps in general is just some really good, they used to call it the 100-mile-an-hour tape. It's the military grade duct tape. This one's in OD green. It's just super useful. I've got so many rolls of this. And then I will go over this really quick. In our hiking one, this one is under construction, but it's gonna hold that small boo-boo 0.7 kit right in here. And then in this pouch, I've got a M-Splint, which if anybody's familiar with these, they are foam, but there's a sheet of aluminum in there too. And these you can actually, you pull this out and then you can bend it. It's aluminum in there. So you can bend this, and as you can see in the pictures, you can make an arm splint, an ankle splint. This is so if you break something, a bone, you sprain an ankle, you can splint it and then extract yourself out. They do come like this, and they also come rolled like this. You can get them both ways, and they have the instructions printed on the splint itself. So if you have the instructions on how to use it. The one I want to go over is this one. For a homesteader, I believe this is one of the best things to get in conjunction with your boo-boo kit of choice. Because your boo-boo kit, you may be diabetic, you may have specific medical conditions that you need to address and make that individual boo-boo kit ideal for that. But what this kit is for is, this is North American Rescue, and I'll put this in the description and a link to it. I have no affiliation with North American Rescue. They only give discounts to active duty, military police, and paramedics and things like that. I am none of those right now. But their kits, I would say, are one of the best. I learned about North American Rescue from the military, just a lot of the stuff that the medical supplies were made by them, and it's kind of the gold standard. This kit is pretty small. It has MOLLE attachments onto it, but one of the reasons you want one of these kits, your boo-boo kit is not going to help you if you slip with the chainsaw and cut your hand off, or cut your wrist, cut your leg, or slip and cut, chainsaw accident, a tractor accident, something with so these have this little pouch right here. There's a tourniquet in here, and they use the cat tourniquets. You need to watch out because like eBay and Amazon sells all kinds of knockoffs, but you want the real cat tourniquet. And I believe all of these kits have them. So I mean, this one's a little bit readily accessible. Yeah, this one says 2007. They don't go bad. So this needs to, but you can see right there, and it should be taken out of the plastic. This kit is relatively new, but it's a cat tourniquet, and you should take it out of the plastic because if you cut yourself, and believe it or not, this kit here is going to replace this kit. So just so you can see the size difference. I mean, this pretty much has everything that this kit has, just more modern and smaller, So your tourniquet would go into there, and then it's got a nice, stretchy pouch. And then it's a split top design, so you can just rip it open. I did add one item that they don't include with it. It is a space blanket. I was told by everybody that I know, paramedic, medical, corpsman, whatever, said have a emergency space blanket in there. So this kit though does come with everything to stop the bleeding. So just to give you an idea, I'm not going to go over pretty much everything, but you get gloves, you get a chest seal, and it's a 2-pack. So if there's an entry exit wound, so say you slip and fall and a tree branch goes through your chest or something, and then you fall out of the tree and you've got a hole in the front and back, you have a front and a back seal, and these are adhesive seals you can just stick on. And then it also has over on this side, it has a they call it a trauma dressing, emergency trauma dressing, ETD. These are more or less like a Israeli bandage. And the one item that will, and then you also get some compressed gauze. And then if you can see this little filament in there, one of the things nice about North American Rescue is wound packing gauze. When it gets soaked in blood, it's really hard to see. So I think I mentioned this in another video, but if you leave this in the body, you pack it in and you just can't see it in there anymore. And then they do x-rays, they will see this filament, which is pretty cool. So you don't get it left in you and then get, you know, infections. This kit, when I bought it, was, there was a $40 difference. The $40 difference was this. It was $40 more for this little tiny combat gauze. And combat gauze is the new quick clot. It's a hemostatic dressing. It helps get the blood to clot more or less on the dressing. And what's good about these, they do have a date, expiration date on there. And this one's 2029. I just replaced this one. But the good thing about this quick clot, you can get surplus quick clots, and the main ingredient in there really doesn't go bad. The date on there would be more or less to make sure that it's sterile. So this is if you're on a budget, because a lot of people don't want to spend $40 for one of these, just for this. That's like almost 50% of the, I think the kit was like $100, and then this was an extra $40. So it's one of those things, you can get surplus quick clots. They are around. And then I just put this little blanket in there. This zips up in a nice little small pouch. But this is going to be the one now that I want to keep with me when I'm chainsawing, things like that. I mean, you can see that it's small. Any of you don't know, the MOLLE system's designed to go into MOLLE military equipment, but you can just take this, slide this through the first loop down here. It's much easier when the kit is empty. Snap that and do that to the other side, and then you have a traditional belt loop right there. You can just put your belt through there and put this on your belt. The only thing this kit doesn't have, and there's really not room for it, is some trauma shears. So the next item, I'm just going to briefly show you. These are not done yet. This is another North American Rescue kit, but it's just started. I just started compiling to make a separate set. But this one, and I actually have their checklist. If you go to their website, they have just a wealth of knowledge. They show you like what the kit should have, and you know, they tell you the items, and they have optional items. So you could get the, you know, these are the basic items, and then if you want to upgrade, you can do like the combat gauze and things like that. And I've added, you know, just a lot of their, I've got an Israeli dressing right there, compressed gauze, 2 pairs of gloves, trauma shears, another cat tourniquet, and then a space blanket. I don't have the, I need to make an order with them and get some of the chest seals. And then one thing you might want to also have is some kind of, they put Velcro on these. You can buy these little patches. They're just a popular item, so you can convert any kind of pouch into a medical pouch, but a lot of the medical pouches have something like this in there. So if this was mounted to like a backpack like that, you could grab this and it just rips open. That's what these little pull tabs are for. And most of them are going to have like this, twin zippers. This one doesn't have the pull tab, but this thing, the way this pouch is designed is it's so tight that if you just literally pull on it, it starts unzipping, you know. You just, so it's a very tight pouch. This one I just started, this is to go on my belt, on my pistol belt. And it goes in the back horizontal, but it's the same thing. You grab this handle and it, you can see it would pull open if it was held on. And it's the same thing, 2 pairs of gloves, trauma shears, Israeli bandage, compressed gauze. This still needs the quick clot and the chest seals, and then it would be a complete kit. but one of the other reasons that I'm building all these kits is, like I said, this one's going to go with me all the time when I do work outside. One of these is going to go in my bug out go bag. One of them is going to go in the vehicle. One of them is going to go on the ATV. And I've got this LA Police Gear one. I just started this one too, but it's kind of the same thing. This one you could mount it to any type of molly stuff, but then it's held on by Velcro, which is kind of neat. Because some of my backpacks actually have Velcro, the soft loop inside of them, so I could take this panel completely off and I could just Velcro this to the inside of my backpack. But this thing is very similar. When it's closed up, you can tuck these in like that so it doesn't get snagged, but then it's just like that. You can grab this handle and then grab this and it just pulls right open and lays nice and flat. And this thing's, I started this one too. I've got a space blanket in here, a tourniquet, you know, the compressed gauze, Israeli bandage, 2 sets of gloves, trauma shears, but it still needs some more components to be complete like the other kits, the chest seals. And like I said, I'm starting to put together this fanny pack, which is going to be my medical fanny pack. I did the same, you know, just put a patch on there. The boo-boo kit, adventure medical kit, is going to go right into here, and some other small items like some maybe burn gel pads and, you know, chapstick, a bug spray, a tick puller. I'm going to show you that right now. One of these is going to go in there. I use this thing. We use this thing all the time. I bought people ones because I can't find a bulk supply of these ones, but this one's got a really neat card that it's really hard to see on here, but it's got a clear overlay and shows you the different sizes of the ticks. You know, it tells you just generally where the ticks are at, blah, blah, blah. But then what's neat about this is, see that notch right there? And it's like a little spoon. So if you got a tick on you, you slide the notch on the tick and then just go like that and it pulls it right off. And then you dispose of the tick. But these are awesome. These are well worth it to have. One of the coolest items. And like I was saying, that LA Police Gear one has Velcro on it, so I could Velcro it right into here, close this up, and then have this little fanny pack that I don't necessarily wouldn't wear it as a fanny pack, but I could just throw it in my hiking bag. And then when I go, I know my boo-boo kit's in the front, trauma kit's in the back, and then in the back I would also throw that the flat SAM splint, because more likely a twisted ankle or something like that is probably going to happen than, you know, cutting myself drastically. But you know, at the same time, I want to have that stuff with, because, like I said, when you're on a homestead, it's one of those things. Don't expect rescue. You know, prepare to self-rescue if you can. So the other thing is always know where you're at. Have a communication so you can call help and you can clearly tell them where you're at. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst, you know, kind of thing. So yeah, like this, and this fanny pack, this is an Amazon special. It's cheap. It's like less than $20, and it has lots of storage potential. And it's got that soft loop Velcro in there, and it's got the pull tabs on here. So what I would probably do with this is keep this zipped like that, and then maybe leave one of these tabs like that, and then take some like red, I have red electrical tape, and wrap red electrical tape on here and maybe write bleeding, you know, so like I know that's the bleeding kit. And it's kind of the same thing where you can just pull that open and then get it out of there. And then this would be, you know, your boo-boo kit. And then maybe in this one, just, you know, really simple items that you just want to have handy, like, you know, maybe a couple Band-Aids and, you know, your chapstick, things like that. You know, because this one's actually got a little thing you can clip something in there too. So maybe this would be a great spot to clip that little spoon for the ticks, you know, and then maybe some ointment in here or something like that. And as cheap as this thing is, it's actually built really nice. It's got paracord zipper pulls that are silent, but then it's got shrink wrap over them, which makes it really easy to pull. So, and it's a good little kit. Hopefully this was helpful. This is just basic homestead first aid items, what you should have. And like I said, at a bare minimum, I would have one of these if you can. I know it's expensive, but it's well worth it. And then get some training to use it. Luckily, like the military, most people, if you know somebody in the military, they could probably teach you about the tourniquets. The cat tourniquets are I think CAT stands for Combat Application Tourniquet. It's a brand, and it's the pretty much standard. The current ones are generation 7. This might be generation 1. Well worth it to have. Hopefully that was helpful, and hopefully you never need any of this stuff. But on the same note, as a homesteader, you should be prepared, and as a prepper, you should also be prepared. So, like I said, I would highly recommend a kit similar to this one, and that's why even the basic kit is well worth it. I believe this month North American Rescue does have a sale. They hardly ever have sales, but they have like 20% off or something like that, which is, and then that's probably one thing I'm going to change on this too. This was, I think, their police one or something like that. So this patch, they sell little replacement ones that are like brighter red. I will put that on there. This one's like subdued, so people know it's still medical, but it's not, you know. And I'm probably going to do like on this one, where I'm going to do the reflective that night vision can see, and also it reflects like actual white light. So at nighttime I can see this very easily. One last thing I want to show you is this is the little first aid kit that I also keep on the four-wheeler, and it's designed to go in conjunction with this kit now with the tourniquet in here. So this would be worn on my body, but then in the four-wheeler, the UTV of the four-wheeler, I keep this in there. And a set of trauma shears, one of those Adventure Medical Kits number 7, and then a heavier duty space blanket. You know, so if I'm out there, and I'm thinking about getting a bigger one of these cases so I could fit one of these in there, and then, you know, close it. So just a case that's a little bit bigger, and I can keep all this in there. Because these cases are from Harbor Freight, and these are waterproof, and they're just really nice. And then I just got a first aid sticker. So just another option. I will leave it at that. Thanks again, and until next time, stay safe, everybody. Big camera. I'm still waiting for the temperature in my water to be perfect. It's still warming up. End it there. Thanks. Like and subscribe. I gotta support this shirt. I knew it was a gift. I love it. I do. So, thanks again.